Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the feat, Ritual Caster.
Indeed. It's, I think, one of the more underrated feats in the game. I'm a big fan of Ritual Caster. I think Ritual Caster is quite good. I don't know how many people are taking it. I haven't seen a lot of people take it personally. That's why I think it's underrated, but I think this
Okay,
is a
that
real
was,
banger.
that was going to be my question. I don't actually know what the consensus is out there, but
Same.
I would think it would be highly rated.
I think it should be highly rated,
Yeah.
and we'll get into it. So this is prerequisite wisdom or int 13 or higher. You have learned a number of spells that you can cast as rituals. These spells are written in a ritual book, which you must have in hand while casting one of them. When you choose this feat, you acquire a ritual book holding two first level spells of your choice. Choose one of the following classes: Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. You must choose your spells from that class's list, and the spells you choose must have the ritual tag. 99.9% of the time, the correct answer to what class you should choose is Wizard. We'll just get that out of the way right now. The class you choose also determines your spellcasting ability for these spells: Charisma for Bard, Sorcerer, or Warlock, Wisdom for Cleric, Druid, and for Wiz. Which is annoying because this prerequisite doesn't include Charisma, yet you can have it be for Charisma-based characters, which I think is stupid, but I'm just not here nor there. If you come across a spell in written form, such as a magical spell scroll or a wizard spell book, you might be able to add it to your ritual book. I like that they add the word might here, just so your DM can tell you no. The spell must be on the spell list for the class you chose. The spell's level can be no higher than half your level rounded up, and it must have the ritual tag. This means 10th level characters can get 5th level spells, 18th level characters can get 9th level spells. The process of copying the spell into your ritual book takes 2 hours per spell level and costs 50 gold per level. The cost represents the material components you expend as you experiment with the spell to master it, as well as the fine inks you need to record it. Which we shouldn't breeze past that last part, because there's a lot of fun flavor to be had of the fighter with their little ritual caster ritual book out there trying to summon a familiar and just spawning in like varying pink lumps or weird fey creatures. They're like, no, 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 and they like splits away and disappears into the realm of existence. A lot of cutesy stuff to be had for the actual adding of stuff to the ritual book. But
I was thinking more like the barbarian saying, "You call this fine ink?"
sure, yeah. There's something about just like a man shirtless, just ripped to shreds, complaining about the quality of the
Yeah.
pen, right? Complaining about some little doohickey with the, something you don't necessarily associate with a barbarian. It's cute. So, Bob, this begs the question: on its own, let's say you're in a table where there's no guarantee you're getting any more ritual spells after you take this. You take Ritual Caster, you get 2 first levels of your choice. Is it worth a feat? What do you think?
Yeah, there's always the fine familiar answer.
Very easy answer. I would say Find
Um,
Familiar is probably worth a feat. It's that good.
yeah, it is. Yeah, then if the party already has a familiar, we've already talked about that. It doesn't necessarily get that much better, but still pretty good. And I don't know. We've mentioned Ritual Caster in videos before, and people have said in the comments like, "Ah, but what if your DM doesn't give you the spells you want, or yada yada yada." Like, I don't know. You're gonna happen upon some ritual spells down the line. If you really want a particular one, make it a personal quest.
Mhm.
Go out
This is
there, find a wizard, steal their spell book, get some spells.
so I will definitely say this is similar to Circle of Teleportation in that it's something the DM has to opt into for you to get further use from it, right? This has to be something that your DM has to prepare around, and consider whenever they're doing their encounter prep, when they're doing the magic item distributions and stuff, and they're figuring out what to give you. This is an option that they can then have. If you take this, and there's a very good chance your DM doesn't read the full length of whatever feats you're taking. They just like, oh, you took the original caster feat this level, cool, what spells you take? And that's the full extent of it. They may not consider or think past the point of you could get more ritual spells with this. I would make that an active, if that's something that you want this feat to do, which you probably should. I would communicate and say, oh, by the way, DM, this lets me learn new ritual spells, add them to the book, accumulate them over time. It'd be really sweet if we could run into some of those. I'll make it a personal character goal to go out and find libraries and stuff in downtime. Having that brief conversation just to be transparent about what you want and what you want your character to be getting will give you a ton more value than just sitting in silence and praying for spell scrolls to come. Because as a DM, I run almost no spell scrolls at all of my tables unless it's like I want to start the multiplanar adventure thing. The third level characters get a plane shift scroll or whatever, right? Like I want to get a big jump off point to do a different kind of arc style of play. That's when I'll introduce a spell scroll. But beyond that, because I know how parties treat consumables, I typically don't give them out that frequently as they ask. So ask.
Yeah, that's probably definitely a conversation you should have. Because if I'm taking this feat, those two first spells are nice, but I want to be collecting spells.
This is definitely a little mini game. If you're one of those completionists that loves running around and finding all the Korok seeds, you can just like have the list of ritual spells out that are for your class and be like, let's do this thing. And you just start collecting them just over time, being like God Alarm, God Animal Messenger, God Augury. Doesn't matter what they do. They're added to the book, so I have a perfect completionist list that I can check off as we go, right? Every time you arrive in a new town, every time you're in, like, you reach the Dwarven City, you reach the High Elf Society, you reach, the Drow Underdark, and you're like, okay, where is your library? Where are your wizards? I need to have a chat because I'm in the market for, and then you just go down the list. Do you have Dark Vision on hand? Do you have Ceremony on hand, right? It's a cute little thing you can do if you like to be that kind of player. I don't think that's a common player type, but it is definitely
no, that's not what I had in mind. There are at least two that you mentioned that I don't want in my book.
There are probably a lot of these you don't want in your book, if we're going to be honest.
But some specific in mind that I do want. Not like I have to pick one right now. I can't think of all the
Detect Magic's an easy one.
Detect Magic. Phantom Steed. That's ritual, right?
It sounds like a ritual. Steed? I don't know if Find Steed is a ritual. We can check. I have D&D Beyond pulled up right now. Let me just hit the filter button. It's that simple.
One of the steeds. I think it might be Phantom Steed.
Phantom Steed sounds right to me. Yeah. Find Steeds are really, really busted, and so if you can get access to those, you should. I don't know if that's an option, though. I'm waiting for my good old-fashioned Firefox to load. It's doing its best. Meldonstone, yep, Phantom Steed, 1 minute. It's got a 1 minute cast time, hour-long duration. So yeah, it's a third level spell, so you need at least a 6th level character for it. That seems pretty reasonable. I think Phantom Steed's class lists, it's Wizard. So yeah, I called that shot. You should take Wizard. It is a pretty baller option. You get a riding horse-esque steed that goes really, really fast. Just base speed of 100 is absurd. And you can just have that as a fighter, as a paladin, as a whoever, which I think is the next big point we should touch on is who wants this. Bob, what characters of yours would want this the most, do you think? Like, if you're, like, in the grand scope of all 13 classes and you're like, okay, tier ranking, #1 characters that wants this, who is it?
I'm always so partial to rogues. And,
I agree with you, actually. I think rogues want this the most.
Well, that's the only one I've given any real thought to. But, yeah, I am thinking just, beyond that, thinking about other classes and still rogue. Like rogue could do so much sneaky reconnaissance stuff with a familiar.
With the detect magic, they can do the sneaky reconnaissance stuff with the regular stealth and then just see magical things. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And on a really, really fast horse, they can move around a lot.
Yeah, plus they get 1 billion ability score improvements. So like you're gonna have a free one lying around. I honestly would take this one really early, just because they don't scale that well with the damaging feats. So like utility ones is almost mandatory to make rogues feel decent in the upper tiers, at least out of combat. I am a big proponent of this on the non-casters more than the full casters, but on the full casters, like if you're a sorcerer, I think sorcerers aren't ritual casters, but even like sorcerers have a really tiny spell list. Bards, same thing, have a really tiny spell list. Being able to get access to extra spells is pretty solid, especially whenever they're wizard cantrips or wizard ritual spells. Like, yeah, excellent. There's very little room to complain here. It's just Find Familiar is so good. It's so good, Bob. Beyond Find Familiar, though, you can so cute things you can do. Ceremony is an adorable little spell if you want to have a polygamous party that all get the benefits of ceremony. So because you have to get married to people, but if you get married to people, they get plus AC. So the whole party gets married to each other, and then everyone gets plus AC. It's fun.
It's getting weird.
Story. Listen, Ceremony is a lovely, weird little spell. It's great. You can bless water. You can perform funeral rites and stuff. Very cute little reason to do cleric for this. That's like the only reason to do cleric for this is because it's cute. The rest of the time, you probably should be doing like wizard. There aren't a lot of other compelling ritual spells, like, comparatively to wizard. Wizards just get the highest density of really good ones. So detective magic's on all the lists basically though, so you won't ever really feel horrible about taking any of the classes that aren't wizard. They're just like, you're gonna want to eventually pick up silence. You're gonna eventually want to pick up things like meld into stone, some cool, powerful, nifty utility effects. This can be a radical way to empower a character in all tiers of play, especially one without magic. So, like, you're a fighter that wants to be more cool outside of combat, Ritual Caster is baller.
You said alarm is a ritual spell?
It is.
That's cool. That's good for anybody to have on hand if they need it.
Yeah, most
Fighter,
of these are.
barbarian, yeah.
There's even like the commune
Oh.
spells that we hate. They're all on here. Instant summons is on here as one of the higher level ritual spells. If you want to waste money, that's an option. Forbiddens is a neat one that like wards a place against intruders. The big 6 level effect that's got a 10-minute cast time, so a 20-minute cast time for you, which is exactly the same. But you have to be a cleric for that one, so gentle
No, I
repose.
mean,
People are like, this isn't the worst spell ever, and whenever it's free, okay, sure, why not?
if it's free.
If it's free, I'm not going to say
Yeah.
no.
All right, so I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about particular ritual spells.
That's the bulk of
But
the feat, right?
that's not really what the video is about. It's about the feat ritual caster.
Sure.
Is there anything else to say about the feat beyond talking about individual ritual spells?
I think if you find familiar and detect magic, you're off to the races. That's like taking a level dip in wizard is what it'll kind of feel like in a lot of ways. You don't get the cantrips, you don't get the full spell casting stuff, but you also aren't continuing your progression in whatever class you want to continue progression in for subclass features or whatever, right? It's a really big boon. I think that
If these are two things you want, or if these are things you want from the wizard class, that's completely fair. That could very well be all you want from it.
Yeah. There'll be often reasons where, like, one level dip also gives you access to shield and also gives you access to absorb elements and also gives you access to, all the really busted cheap wizard stuff that makes every character feel amazing in the upper tiers. You still don't have to forgo class levels this way, though, which is nice.
Being relatively new to 5e at the time, I took a level dip into wizard just so I could get a find familiar.
It's that good, right?
But I could have taken this instead.
You could have
dipped in level.
If you're especially on the extra attack classes, right? Getting this at 4th if you want to expand your utility options, which I think isn't going to be like a power gaming decision. It's not going to make all of your attacks better. It's going to be hard for a lot of the martial characters that are super dedicated to their feats, that are doing the polearm master sentinel stuff, that are doing the great weapon fighter, the sharpshooter stuff, that are like, this is my lane. I want this to be as powerful and as quickly as possible. Finding room for this isn't going to happen until like 13th level plus, because you're going to want to max out your ability scores for your damage, and you're going to want all the feats that care about your ways of attacking. That's kind of like the biggest hindrance to these kinds of utility feats. That being said, characters, I think, will benefit greatly in empowering the quantities of times they get to feel cool by investing in feats like this, by investing in ways to expand out their options beyond just what they do every round in combat. And I can't recommend Ritual Caster enough as a baseline for more or less any non-magical character that wants to have ways to interface with the game beyond just I stab, I shoot, I make an athletics check.
Yeah, I tend to not be very utility minded when I'm choosing these sorts of things. Feats. Yeah, maybe for a fighter they get a gazillion feats, but for characters I play, the ritual caster, like, ooh, that's really, really cool. But I could probably wait until after sharpshooter and crossbow expert and these other things that are shinier in the store window.
I think that's fundamentally the problem with it, and it to me screams that there might need to be a differentiation between the tiers and groupings of feats, right? It's hard to forgo things that make your character so much more efficient in combat so that you can be efficient also out of combat. And that's like, it's a juggling act. You have to decide what you want your character to be doing.
I don't think there needs to be any change to that. I think that's we're all adults here. That's a choice you have to make.
I'm just saying, I would love to see them I would love to see more characters get access to the weaker feats more frequently and the more powerful feats less frequently. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see there be a little bit more cost to some of these and a little less cost to others. Granted, whenever you have a catch-all, just it's a feat system, that's not really doable. And 5th edition definitely went with that mindset of everything, it's just their feats and they're all created equally. And we get that some of them are just entirely useless, but others break the game in half. So, lucky is on the same table as skilled. Like, that's not really...
I mean, they do. Some of them have prerequisites, not the ones you're talking about, but
the prerequisites normally are you have a 13 in an ability score? Oh, that's so hard to do on anyone.
none of them have level. Or am I thinking of invocations?
Invocations are the ones that have level gates. There are no feat level gates to my understanding, except maybe I think some of the more recently released ones have 4th level gates, so you can't take them as variant human. But like, that's barely a level gate requirement. That just basically says this isn't a variant human feat, which is wild that that's the design direction they chose to go with that.
Ah, well, this is the world we live in.
That's true.
There's a new D&D coming out at some point. Maybe they'll address that.
I doubt
it. Have any plans to? No? All
right. Most of the problems I don't think are going to be even remotely addressed. And there should be like, it's shiny and new. This is 5.5. We patched it. Look at that. Druids don't feel as bad anymore or less complicated or whatever. It's going to be great, though. I'm excited. In any case, Ritual Caster is a pretty banger feat. If you are okay saying, I'm good with where I'm at in combat, this is an easy expansion for every non-caster character in the game to be able to do a little bit more out of combat.
You got a rating?
I think this is a 5 out of 5. I really do. 5 familiar is that broken. Detect Magic is really useful, and it only gets better from there. So with that being the floor of just 2 game warping effects, Detect Magic is less than 5 familiar, but 2 absurdly powerful effects that you're really happy to have on basically everyone. Getting that, then having it scale past it is just gravy. You're going to be able to do a lot of cool things with this. You're going to be able to have non-magical characters feel like they're able to contribute, not quite as much as magical characters, but closer to them. And for that reason, like it's such a huge boon to characters that can take it. I can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I agree with the 5 out of 5, but I think for me, I mean, yeah, the 5 familiar Detect Magic, that's wonderful. However, just the absurd amount of ritual spells in the game that you can add to your book over time is what makes it for me.
Getting Telepathic Bond for free is great. Getting Phantom Steed for free is great, right?
Yeah, but just that, you're a class that's got nothing to do with magic. You're a fighter, barbarian, rogue, whatever. You've got so much magic now.
Yeah,
for the cost of 1 feat.
The potential of so much magic.
Yeah. I'm just banking on that potential.
That's fair. I'm saying you probably don't even need it for being pretty excellent.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are agreed. Good feat.
Excellent. Try it out.
All right. Well, that was Ritual Caster. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments. What you think about Ritual Caster. Maybe you're one of the naysayers. Maybe you're one of the ones that don't rate this so highly. Let us know. All right. Well, that was that, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.